Lucy only gave me 10 minutes for a huge subject, tax, banking, and estate planning. So I have tried to condense a little bit. I want to try and make it a little bit personal, and I'm going to leave most of the tax issues to our face-to-face, our experts. I do know quite a bit about tax, and I have some handouts for tax that you can have as e-files either by email or you can take them from a stick or from my laptop if you have a stick here. And we can do all of that later. I'm going to ask you for some help because I don't care all about myself. And I'm just getting started. I have a lot of ideas, and I think we have an incredible opportunity to help a lot of people worldwide on some really big issues that are coming up. What have I got myself into? This is my first FAWCO meeting. I'm kind of an intermittent American Women's Club member. Okay, I'm on this committee. About 5 years ago, I grew up. I married my hamburger in 1989. And then about 5 years ago, once the children were beginning to get out of puberty, I started looking at grandparents, tax-free gifting to grandchildren in Germany, their tax returns, my tax returns, and my German-American marriage and some of the tax-free transfer amounts that you can do in the States that you can't do in Germany and vice versa. And I started just reading a lot about this and talking to a lot of supposed experts, learning how many tax people don't know what they're talking about in both of the jurisdictions, and how difficult it is to find bankers, tax accountants, and lawyers who are sensitized to our international situation. Then I got so mad about some of the things that were happening because at the same time, some of the legislation in the United States has precipitated some big changes in how banks in particular are dealing with us. Some of you may have experienced this. I know that a number of people in your clubs have experienced this, and I think that we should share this information, begin to publish this information, and definitely let Washington know what's happening. So I'm the communication enzyme for all of you, for everyone in your clubs. I will try to consolidate and condense information to make it as clear and accessible as possible, to give you tools to go to professionals and ask questions. I have some handouts here on tax, on banking, and on the beginnings of estate planning that you can get as e-files. I'll hang up an overview of those when I sit down. And you can have those at the face-to-face. You can have them in the next couple of days. You can check off, I have a list, you can check off the specific ones you want. All of this started because my FAWCO involvement started because last AGM in Hamburg, there were a lot of newbies and young, still dealing with culture shock and babies and German women in our club. And I talked to Tracy and I thought we needed to do a seminar for people about some of the changing landscape, which we did in April, and then we did a follow-up seminar bringing in experts to talk to people about estate planning issues and about tax compliance and FBARs and this new form that's come out and some of the implications for their lives, and both in the States with their banking accounts and also here. So, that's great. So don't worry, there's lots of information, and we've got some great help. My concern is that we get as much worldwide information out of the clubs coming back centrally to FAWCO so that we can begin to develop an information database, because a lot of our members are getting very good at internet research when they're looking into what are really basically very personal issues. And I like to put as much of it as internationally useful as possible in a kind of a library that we can go to when you are going through a divorce, or you're looking at doing a will, and you've got this international life, just to inform yourself so that when you're going to talk to people, you know to ask the right questions. Also of your resident country banks and things like that. U.S. legislation impacts on stateside banking. There's been a little bit already on the FAWCO website about that. One of the newer things is that increasingly a lot of U.S. banks are not letting us have a bank account unless we pay a water bill in the United States. So I want to collect these stories. If you have them, please send them to us. There's a little bit more extensive information on that in one of the handouts, and I will be putting some of this up on the website. I want to focus a little bit more today on the international banking issues. And again, there's more detailed information in the banking handouts that are here. I started about a year and a half ago looking for new bank relationships for my family. I started with 25 in Germany, and last September I was down to 3. The reason I was down to 3 was that a lot of the banks were saying they no longer took American citizens. This is really a moving target. There are banks that will let you have a retail account, a checking account, or a little savings account, but anything that's invested, mutual funds, stock and bond portfolios, they're all beginning to kick out their American clients. And there are good reasons for that that we'll go into in more detail on the tax side with our sponsor. But again, I'm asking you all to send us stories. The handouts have very specific information about a lot of different banks that have sent their clients letters. Some of them are saying, we'll do retail, but that's it. And some of them are saying, we'll do nothing for Americans. So we have the problem of American banks saying, oh, you live overseas and have a foreign address, we can't service you, even if you've been with our company for 20 or 30 or 3 years or three generations, which is what happened in my case. And other banks, there are a couple of banks that are saying, oh, this is a really interesting demographic. Nobody wants to do it, and we want to do it. I don't want to go into today to why they don't want to do it. I'll leave that, again, up to the experts. But you should be aware that this is going to increasingly happen. You can't say it doesn't have anything to do with me. It may just be that your bank hasn't read the fine print of some of the U.S. legislation yet. Okay, so here's the list. I cannot guarantee you that it's 100% accurate. I did my research in Germany and Switzerland, and these were the banks in the universe that were possible to look at. In some cases, like HSBC and the UniCredit Vereinsbank, they will do certain things, but other things not. So again, I'm in the information collection stage. One of the problems with the go-tos at the top is that a lot of the go-tos, and here we're talking about go-to if you have an investment. You need somebody to take care of a stock portfolio for you. You want to save for college education for your children. If you want to do that overseas, those banks are interested in dealing with American citizens. But some of them say, oh, but only if you bring me $5 million. Well, I talked to one of these banks, and he said, we would love to take, because I had said, well, $5 million, if I bring you 10 people with $500,000, that's good, isn't it? He said, we would love to have those clients, but our compliance department looks at the U.S. regulations and says, it's too risky now. A German bank told me that they would have to invest hundreds of millions of dollars in their computer programs to deliver the kind of information that our government is asking them to deliver. This is all the tip of the iceberg. Can we hold questions till the end? Oh, sorry. Okay. Let's see. All of this not only impacts banking, it impacts women's financial security. we talked, I think, in FAWCO about this before. It's the issue of not being signatory on some of the accounts anymore because of the FBAR issues. But it also impacts your ability to save in an efficient way for your children and for your own retirement. And I think that we need to do something about it in Washington. But again, I'm just getting started in it, and I need help and information from all of you. Can I have the next one? Yeah. Okay. One of the other things that's making us unattractive to international banks is that we can't buy their higher margin products. It's not a good idea to have a lot of foreign mutual funds because of PFAC rules. And if you don't know what that is, maybe we can talk about it in the tax more detail. All of my people have told me to only buy individual stocks and bonds. And that makes it really hard if you're saving small amounts. Here are just a couple of suggestions. Keep it simple if possible, and really take the time to know your country of residence position on taxing mutual funds. That's a big problem in Germany. I can't buy U.S. mutual funds because the Germans say, well, if the Americans are going to be like that, then I'll be like that too. Okay. Next one, please. There are other implications for estate planning, as I said, inheritance, and